BRICS, an organization constituting 5 leading emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that are projected to collectively dominate the global economy by 2050, is reportedly working on developing a new form of currency. A top Russian official, Alexander Babakov, intimated that the new development will be discussed at the next BRICS Leaders Summit that will take place at the end of August 2023 in South Africa. Bitcoin.com also revealed Mr. Babakov left open the idea of a united currency emerging within the BRICS, possibly backed by gold, as well as other resources such as rare earth elements or land. Sources have disclosed that Russia is behind the idea, as it has faced economic sanctions from the West over the invasion of Ukraine. Welcome. This is Rain Smith, and you're watching the New Africa channel. Given its geopolitical interests, Russia has long sought to use the BRICS to further the concept of de-dollarization. The near elimination of Russia from the West-led dollar-dominated financial system following the Russia-Ukraine war has bolstered Russia's quest for a financial system free of Western dominance. Developing an alternative to the dollar-based global payment system would first and foremost allow Moscow to avoid economic sanctions, a financial weapon whose capabilities and limitations have become obvious in the West's response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. For instance, as a result of international sanctions imposed in the aftermath of the Ukrainian invasion, several of Russia's banks have been barred from using the SWIFT global payments messaging system and have lost access to its central bank's abroad assets. A BRICS-based reserve currency would therefore offer Russia a new instrument for increasing trade in currencies other than the US dollar. This way, Russia and other BRICS nations can enjoy more financial autonomy and reduce their vulnerability to external economic shocks. The proposed new currency will outrightly reduce their reliance on the US dollar, which is currently the dominant global currency for trade and investment. This will give them greater control over their currencies and reduce their exposure to fluctuations in the value of a dollar. Also, a BRICS currency would allow Russia and other BRICS member countries to trade and settle transactions among themselves using their own currency, rather than having to use the US dollar or other currencies as intermediaries. This would reduce transaction costs and currency exchange risks. Russia is also pushing for a BRICS currency to increase members' leverage in global financial markets due to greater bargaining power in international financial negotiations, and by enabling member countries to pool their financial resources and create a larger market for their currencies, which would increase their liquidity and attract more investors. This would help to establish their currencies as viable alternatives to the US dollar and other major currencies. Additionally, a BRICS currency would provide a source of liquidity for the member countries, allowing them to access funds from each other in times of financial stress, without having to rely on external sources such as the IMF or World Bank, which are seen as being controlled by Western powers. Russia and other member countries would be able to create their own financial architecture that is more tailored to their needs and priorities, rather than having to conform to the policies and conditions imposed by the IMF and World Bank. This would give them greater financial sovereignty and flexibility. A BRICS currency would also provide an alternative source of funding for development projects and other initiatives, reducing the need to rely on loans and aid from these Western-dominated institutions. Finally, a BRICS currency would help to promote financial cooperation and integration among the member countries, reducing their dependence on external sources of financing and promoting greater economic self-sufficiency. The idea of a BRICS currency to challenge the dollar's hegemony may work, but many experts believe it is flawed. According to these experts, the economies of BRICS member states are dramatically different in terms of trade, growth, and financial openness, so they would not enjoy an optimum currency area. In other words, it would not make sense for these nations to share a common regional currency since the optimal characteristics for the creation of a new currency are not present. For instance, the real GDP per capita at constant prices between 2008 to 2021 rose 138% for China, 85% for India, 13% for Russia, and 4% for Brazil, while South Africa saw a 5% contraction over the same period. This stark difference in economic growth alone is a major problem with the BRICS as a bloc with one currency, but it is not even the primary problem. Presently, the most recent IMF data puts China's share of BRICS' collective gross domestic product measured at market rates at a whopping 72%. Since 2003, the BRICS' share of global output at market prices has risen from 8.4 to 25.5%. Of this 17.1 percentage point rise, China accounts for 14 points. China's dominance is underlined further by the fact that it is a key trade partner for the commodity exporters, which have industrial cycles that track the ebb and flow of a Chinese credit cycle. And after the attack on Ukraine, China's financial influence over isolated Russia has risen further. Therefore, it is clear that Chinese strategic interests are not particularly aligned with those of the other countries. One of China's top concerns is to locate places to park its external surpluses that are not within the jurisdiction of the U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control, as well as to discover alternative repositories of value to U.S. treasuries. While the other 4 BRICS countries do not have liquid assets, they do have investment prospects, particularly in raw resources. As with the Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese authorities prefer to have control in such matters. Similarly, Russia and the Gulf energy exporters prefer to store rainy day sovereign wealth reserves outside of the United States. However, the alternative to the United States is not a diverse set of developing countries, but rather a single power, China, with a voracious appetite for energy and other raw materials. So not only are there practical challenges in a common BRICS currency, in seeking one currency to challenge U.S. hegemony in foreign exchange, the non-Chinese members of countries of the group may just increase their dependence on Beijing, effectively surrendering themselves to a new hegemony. So, what do you think of our video? Do you think it is a good idea for BRICS to develop an alternative currency that can break the US dollar's hegemony in foreign exchange? Or do you think the breaking of the dollar's dominance is a bad idea? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and as always, do subscribe to the New Africa channel for more exciting future videos.